Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Lipke. I am the medical librarian for ATSU on the Missouri campus. I am also the CGHS nursing liaison, so your personal librarian. Today, we're going to be talking about APA 7 style citation and plagiarism. At the end of this module 6, I would like you to be able to understand copyright and citation in scholarly writing. Demonstrate your understanding of APA Style 7 citation for in-text quotes, in-text citations, quotations, and references. I would like you to have a better understanding of plagiarism and how to avoid plagiarizing in scholarly works. I would also like you to understand when and how to incorporate paraphrasing, summarizing, and direct quotations. And we're going to use the APA 7 style formatting for the paper due at the end of this module. And I will also give you information how to contact the ATSU Writing Center for future reuse. So let's get started. Scholars discuss topics and present evidence through publications. Publications require specific citation formats in order to standardize the presentation of the evidence and to allow other scholars to follow the format of the information provided within the publication. Citations not only provide credit to the original author, they allow other scholars to locate the original source of information. When you provide citations to the findings presented in your work, you not only avoid plagiarism, you provide credit to the original authors, and you substantiate your findings with established evidence. In part 1 of this module, we'll discuss the APA 7 citation style and paper format. And then in part 2 of this module, we're going to discuss paraphrasing, summarizing, and direct quotes so you can avoid plagiarizing. So what is all this discussion about citation and plagiarizing? Well, essentially it comes down to what is copyright. And copyright is an intellectual property law that protects the author's rights as the owners or the designers of the original work. So not only does this apply to music, and we've heard a lot about, musicians recordings being shared on YouTube, and is that okay or not? And, copies of possibly like the Mona Lisa where it infringes, again, this is a copyright issue. And this also applies to scholarly publications. Not only books, say Stephen King wrote a certain book and someone else wrote something very similar, they're infringing on the copyright of Stephen King's original publication. So this also applies to articles written in scholarly journals. When scientists or authors publish a study and they've done all this work, all the research, all the background research, they've worked the study, they've come up with these methods and these results, they own the copyright to that article until they sell it to the journal for publication. And then the journal that is publishing the article owns the copyright. So how do we address copyright when we are using resources to substantiate our paper? Well, we do that through citation. And for nursing, we use the APA 7th edition of the American Psychological Association. So there's basic elements of a citation. We want to include the author's last name and their first initial. And the purpose of just including the first initial is to prevent bias as to whether it is a male or a female. The date of the journal or the, the title of the article or the document, the title of the journal in which the article is published, and please note that the title of the journal is italicized, the publication information, such as the journal volume number, the issue number, and the page numbers, and then the retrieval information, DOI or URL. So here I've put an example. I've also provided you with a link to the APA style for basic principles of citation guidelines. So you note here how the journal title and the volume are italicized. For the volume, you're only going to put the number, and the number will be in italics. We'll go over an example here. So I've provided you with an article, and you can use this article or any article. But what I want you to do is practice the elements of a citation. So you're welcome to pause the tutorial and go ahead and practice this. So you're going to find the author, last name, first initial, the year of publication, the title of the article, the journal name, which will be italicized, the volume number, which is italicized, the issue number, the page range, and the DOI or the URL. You can refer back here to look at how to do the parenthetical and the narrative citations. So the parenthetical is when you use this at the end of, say, a paraphrased statement. And we'll go over how to paraphrase in a little bit. The narrative is when you start out with the author's name, and then you put the year of the publication, and then the paraphrase statement. So go ahead and practice those. Here are some examples of how to cite a website. When there's one author, again, note just the first initial. The title of the web page is italicized. Then the website name. So this is a little bit different than when you're citing a journal. Remember, in journals, we italicize the journal title, not the article title. On websites, it's different. I also want to point out that in APA style, a lot of times when you look at a journal title or a website page title, you'll notice that every word is capitalized. In APA 7 style, only proper nouns or the first word in a sentence is capitalized. So London is capitalized and Olympic is capitalized because this is the first word in the sentence and this is a proper noun. So let's go down and look at another one. This is an example of a website with a group author. Notice only the first word in the sentence is capitalized. This is capitalized because it is an acronym. And this word is capitalized because it comes after the semicolon. So if you have any more questions about that, refer to the publication manual for the APA 7th edition. Here are some APA style tutorials and webinars that we would like you to review. They're quick and easy videos. This one discusses the basics of 7th edition APA style citation. This is a step-by-step guide of how to format your paper. This is in-text citations, and this is the reference page. I've also provided a quiz for you, and it is a little bit long, but I guarantee that if you go through it, I even learned something going through it. So take a moment to do that. It will be very beneficial for you. Here is the link again of how to format your paper. Remember, it's a standardized format. All publications using APA style have to be formatted this specific way. So let's discuss plagiarism. Essentially, plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, or images of another as your own. It denies the authors or the creators of the content the credit they are due. Whether it's deliberate, unintentional, or unintentional, plagiarism violates ethical standards of scholarship. It also violates the academic integrity policy of the college and the university. So I've provided you with a link here of the academic integrity policy. So now that I've put a little bit of fear in you about plagiarizing, let's try to think of it in a more positive way. I like to think of scholarship as it's a conversation. So I want you to think about when you're including resources from other authors, from other publications within your paper, you're having a conversation with these authors. Author A stated such and such, author B supported author A, but you think differently, or maybe you think the same. Whichever way you're going with your concepts, you want to include them in your conversation. You want to include what author A and author B stated to either refute or support your conclusions. So the purpose of synthesizing evidence or incorporating evidence from other authors into your paper is to contribute to an ongoing scholarly conversation. These articles also provide background information to your synthesis. You have to build up with evidence from other authors, other scholarly publications to support your findings. You can't just come out and say, I believe such and such and such. You have to have information supporting your conclusions, supporting your statement. And you want that to be a strong foundation. So the more sources you can find that either support or refute your conclusions, it helps not only contribute to that conversation, provide background information, but it provides a strong foundation to your paper. So just like when you're building a house, you want strong, solid bricks for that foundation. You want strong, solid evidence to support your conclusions, to support your proposal. So you're going to synthesize this existing evidence to position your statement within the scholarly conversation. And again, when you're looking at these articles and you find information that says, yes, this is what I'm trying to say, look at the references that they have cited. This will lead you to additional information. And scholars that are reading your publication are going to do the same. So by citing references within your paper and providing that reference list, you provide this additional information for readers. You're also saying to other authors and other scholars, look, I've done my homework. I've found all this evidence. This is supporting what I'm saying. This is supporting me going forward. So how do we incorporate this evidence into our paper? Well, we do that by paraphrasing. And paraphrasing demonstrates that you understand the concepts that you're including in your paper. You're not just pulling quotes left and right just to make some bulk to your paper. You actually understand what these other scholars are discussing. You understand the evidence that they're providing and that you're synthesizing into your paper. So you incorporate others' concepts in relation to your argument. This provides support to your thesis statement. It demonstrates a relationship between existing evidence and your proposal, and it includes you in the scholarly conversation. So if I was looking for new treatment X to address population Y, and I'm saying that if I do treatment X to address population Y, it's going to have this specific outcome we'll call Z. And I've found that other scholars have tried portions of treatment X, but not to the extent that I want to take it. So I can use their trials, their studies to support, look, this is working. This is why I want to incorporate this last part of treatment X, expand it because it's showing a foundation, a strong foundation in the scholarly conversation. But I don't want to just, I want to show that I understand what all the other authors are saying. So I want to take what they're reporting, the evidence that they're providing, and put it in my own words. I still need to cite what I'm finding because I am finding this evidence in other studies. But I want to just demonstrate to my readers that I understand what these other scholars are saying. So the paraphrasing process. Go ahead and take a moment, read this original quotation, and then we'll go over the process I used to build my paraphrase. So the first thing I do after reading the quotation is I get my bullet points going. I want to make sure that I have the author and the date of publication. Just as a side note, et al. Is used when there are 3 or more authors. So you can see at the bottom of the slide is the citation for the full article. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 authors. So when there are 3 or more, I use the abbreviation et al., and that means and more. I then go ahead and just pull out the very highlights of the article. Formal ethics they're addressing or discussing formal ethics instruction in a DNP program. They want to use realistic case studies to provide this formal ethics instruction. And the program is provided to the DNP students so that with the purpose of building their skills to critically analyze ethical issues in practice. So you can see in number 3 here, I've included the author, and this is an example of a narrative in-text citation. Remember earlier we used a parenthetical. So I'm starting the paraphrase out with the author's name and the date, and then I paraphrase what this quotation states. So these authors developed a case study format for the DNP program to provide students with the skills needed to critically analyze ethical dilemmas within the healthcare settings. Some sources also recommend read the original quotation, do your bullet points, step away from it for a few minutes, do something else, and then come back, read the bullet points, and describe it in your own words. Remember, the purpose of the paraphrase is to demonstrate that you understand what the authors are saying, but you still need to cite it because you found this evidence within their study. Another little insider tip. When I'm paraphrasing, I like to find more than one source, unless it's a unique concept. I'd like to find more than one source that supports this information. So if I'm looking for information on how to develop an ethics instruction class for DNP program, and maybe I found multiple studies that show using a case study format helps students develop these skills. So what I would do is paraphrase 3 different studies and then cite them all, because I believe that that way you're less likely to plagiarize. And also, it provides more support for your statement for including this paraphrase in your paper, because you have multiple studies stating that this is an effective way of teaching ethics. And also, it helps you, again, not to plagiarize one specific study. You can use direct quotations, and think of them as a way to really make a strong impact. If you find one quotation that is particularly strong and very much states what you're trying to say or supports your findings, one particular author or group of authors has made this statement that really hits home with what you're trying to say. Use that quotation, but use them sparingly. They can be more impactful if they're used sparingly. When you use a direct quotation, it must be word for word, and it must also be relevant to the content within the paragraph or the section of your paper. Dr. Saunders has written a paper that is especially good of how to recognize and avoid plagiarism. I've put the link here on the slide. Take a look at that paper. It's a quick read, but I really like the way he addresses the topic. Plus, he's a librarian, so he does an especially good job. Okay, so we've talked about paraphrasing, we've talked about direct quotes. Let's talk about summarizing. Essentially, summarizing is primarily used in annotated bibliographies. That's where you condense the main concepts of an article or a chapter into your own words. It's significantly shorter than the original work. Like I said, it's mostly seen in annotated bibliographies. Again, it must be cited to give credit to the original author or authors. You can do this in a similar format to the paraphrasing with the bullet points. So as you're reading the chapter or the article, just make quick notes on the side, or I even like to write on the article itself. Describe after you've done this, after you've read the article, you've made your bullet points, take the time to discuss the article with a friend or your spouse or a colleague, and describe the article or the chapter to them so that you develop your version of the summary. You're less likely to plagiarize if you understand the concepts and you can describe it to someone else. Think about, you're teaching it to someone else. You want to use your own words. But again, any summarized content must be cited to give credit to the original authors. So summarizing is an explanation of the information as you understand it. Use your voice and your words. This is how to contact the ATSU Writing Center. And I have personally taken the time to look at the credentials of those that you will be working with. And please understand that they are very well versed in how to do this. They're all of them have a lot of experience with doctoral level writing. I have a lot of confidence in their skills. And remember, even professional writers need an editor. So please take advantage of that free service. For Module 6, this is your assignment. You don't even have to do any searching. I've provided 3 sources for you. Actually 4 if you are interested in learning how to incorporate data into your writing. All 3 articles discuss plagiarism in medical publications. What I'd like you to do is read those 3 articles, and then in a 2 to 3 page paper, formatted in APA 7 style. Remember, up on slide 6 or on slide 8 and 9 and 10, Here's the checklist of how to format your paper in APA 7 style. So in a 2 to 3 page paper, formatted in APA 7 style, provide a concise synthesis of these three readings. Incorporate paraphrasing, only use one direct quotation, and make sure everything is properly cited. In-text citations using narrative and parenthetical citations. Every citation you use within the paper must be included in the reference page. The reference page must be formatted in APA 7 style. If you choose to use more references to include to help you summarize this information, you can do so, but please keep it below 5 total. Here's the rubric for the assignment. So a perfect paper would have all elements of the final paper are formatted according to APA 7 style checklist, and you have the checklist in these slides. The in-text citations were properly cited using parenthetical or narrative citation, and each citation in the paper, in the bulk of the paper, is included in the reference list. All paraphrase or summarized statements demonstrate the author's understanding of the content or context. Remember, the purpose of paraphrasing is to demonstrate that you understand what the other author is saying. The paraphrase or summarized statements are incorporated to provide support or meaning to the final product. So they're supporting what you're saying in your paper. Incorporate no more than one direct quotation. Remember, less is better when it comes to direct quotations. They're more impactful that way. The quotation is written word for word. All direct quotations must be word for word. The quotation provides authority to the context of your paper. It supports what you're saying in your paper. The quotation is properly cited and included in the reference list. All quotations or paraphrases or in-text citations must be included in the reference list. Let's go to the opposite end. So if the in-text citations are not included in the reference list, this is considered a form of plagiarism. The in-text citations must be included in the reference list. Paraphrased or summarized statements were plagiarized or not transformed into the writer's words of thoughts. Remember, it's your version, your voice of what another author is saying. You're demonstrating that you understand the concepts that this other authors are bringing to light in their articles. And they must be cited. Even though it's in your words, it still has to be cited to give credit to the original authors. And quotations must be cited and included in the reference list, and they must be word for word. And here are the citation practice answers. You've noted that I've included my email at the bottom of every slide, and that is to remind you that no matter where you are in this assignment or in the future, I am your librarian. Please contact me with questions. Thank you.